polished, rehearsed band.
Yes,
and there was
very professional.
Nothing wrong with them. They were fine. But it was like, what is he doing? So it's almost like he was doing live karaoke with a band. I don't know if anybody's ever seen that, but I actually did a story on it where people do karaoke, but instead of with the track, they have a live band there.
The problem is that Dave is not singing along.
No.
This is like the era when Dave is like, he'll sing a little bit, then he'll talk a little bit, he'll shtick a little bit, and it's like, dude, you're a singer. Just sing the song.
Right.
And he won't.
Right.
And he won't. Or when he does, it's off. This is like I don't want to say the beginning of the end.
Right.
But this is when Dave is less focused on his singing and more focused on being the front man.
Yeah, he's all about the rapping. He is not focused on the actual thing. So now we come to song number 2, which is Panama. You're like, okay, there's some familiar territory. All right. So he sounds pretty good here, and he's right in his lane. Dave makes a meal out of the break, though, and he kills the vibe. You know, the whole break. He's, look at all these people here tonight, and there's not a lot of people there tonight. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like the crowds were packed with this thing. And he's doing things like, the joint is jumping and the band is pumping. I mean, the show was filled with, like, shtick. I mean, like, someone was writing shtick for him, like, or maybe he was doing it himself. He's saying things like, I think they gave me the Elvis Presley dressing room. I found a half-eaten donut in the closet and a Percodan nut log underneath the bed. And it was like... Oh, my God. Like, first of all, like, Elvis is dead. He died tragically. Like, let's not... Come on. So then that was a little weird, and he's, like, shucking and jiving all over the place.
For way too long.
Oh, God. And then he goes on and on and on. He starts saying things like, if there was a God, Elvis would be alive and all his impersonators would be dead. It's like, you know, it just...
But he's barely getting a reaction.
I mean, and you're hearing nothing. Just like people like
crickets.
Yeah, like just
crickets and the drunk guy.
Oh, and he's got, you know, and then he starts doing some of his like Zen humor things. Like he goes, it might take you 3 or 4 weeks to get these jokes, and it was like, oh God.
Then you shouldn't be telling them.
I know. Then he says things like this, and some of them are really inappropriate. These jokes, he goes,
I know. God. Even back then.
Oh, exactly. He goes,
and and I think when we saw him, though, I don't think he played Panama when we saw him.
I think he did.
Did he? Because I seem to remember like he only did one Van Halen song, which was Jump.
Uh-huh.
And I remember, and you were like, he's going to do Jump, and I'm like, he's not doing Jump. He hasn't done a Van Halen song all evening.
Yeah.
And he did, and I was totally wrong.
Yeah, I'll tell you some of the ones that I felt like were in our show and not in the other shows. But this one, he made this joke, and this is how cheeseball it was. He was like, what do you think of Siegfried and Roy? Do you think those tigers are really gay? And it was like, oh, come on, man. Now you're making gay joke. Like, it was just like, it was a little like, come on, man. I timed it. He was doing blocks of 10 to 12 minutes of this shit.
Oh, yeah.
Because you can tell by the set list, there's not a ton of songs. And
no, as far as songs, it's not.
No, because there's too much in between. And then he did say something funny, which I love Dave's humor, I really do, and I think he's funny. But like he said, Sammy Hagar is about as exciting as the second Darren on Bewitched, which I thought was funny. But it's not that that's true, but it's just funny the way he said it. You know what I mean? But I thought that was kind of low, especially when you're in fucking Vegas. And Van Halen was still on top.
That's the thing. Sammy's still in the band at this point.
Yeah, and doing
they
well.
Have it, right? And this is, because this is 1995. They had a #1 album that year.
Right, exactly.
I mean, they're not sucking with, I mean, the album was, decent.
Right.
So, I mean, it's like, what are you doing, dude? You're making fun of a guy who's, pardon the Van Halen pun, more on top of the world than you are right now.
I just didn't think he was in any position to be taking shots at Sammy. I mean, he just wasn't. Not after what he went through. So,
all right, let's go on through the set list here because I'm getting painful flashbacks.
Okay.
I can't talk about this all night.
So then he did like Nothing But Them Blues, which is sort of a Duke Ellington song, which he sang with this girl, Kristen Steinauer, who was the background vocalist. It was sort of a slow, sultry ballad, and Dave's doing things like, "Here comes a trombone solo," and I was just like, oh my God. He's saying things like, "I've fallen and I can't get up." Oh my God. Everything was like a flat note. Then he went on to Ice Cream Man, which was fine. He's back in his lane. Dave keeps it snappy, and he did something. This is a joke that I think is one of my all-time favorite Dave jokes. This is hysterical, and I love the way he did it. So they did Ice Cream Man, and they did it really well, because Ice Cream Man with a big band, like, it works well. It works well.
It does. Yes,
yeah,
I'll give him that.
It sounds great.
Yes.
So he does this thing. "Sorry, darling, only got 2 flavors today, bubblegum and dick." And then he goes, "Looks like we're all out of bubblegum." Which I think is sophomoric but funny. So then Dave takes a breather and lets Edgar Winter play Free Ride, which was great. That was kind of a nice moment because that's a great song, and the band killed that. That was great. He came on, did That's Life. That worked well, too, because that's at least a nod to his solo career, and that song is perfect for Dave. That works great. Now we come to Hard to Handle, which is the cover, the Black Crowes song, but it's a cover. Black Crowes covered it as well. It's not their song, but they're known for it. But it's not their song. It's a cover.
Isn't that an Otis Redding song?
Yeah, you're right. It's an Otis Redding song. I just didn't remember who wrote it. It works well in terms of a song, but this is not a vocal range for Dave. To be honest with you, he's hardly on the goddamn thing. The whole band is performing the song, and the background vocalists, 5, mind you, are the ones who are really carrying the whole thing, and Dave's just sort of like dancing on top of it a little bit, you know what I mean?
Which pretty much describes the whole show.
Yeah, a lot of it. Except for like Ice Cream Man and Panama. Like certain things that Dave is like engaged, you know. So, but then there's other ones where Dave is sort of just like a cheerleader and he's like running around on stage. Dave, this part was really grating. When he starts going up to women in the crowd and he starts going up and saying, "Baby, I'm going to make you feel like where the syrup hits the pancake," or something like that. And the girl's like, he goes up to some girl, he says, "Say to me, how do you feel when you're with me?" And the girl's like, "What?" And he's like, "Say how you feel when you're with me." He says, "Dave, how do you feel when you're with me?" He's like, "I feel like we just finished a novel and we're celebrating with cheap champagne." And he's doing all this stuff. And you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? And he's stopping the show for this shit. Then this is a really low point. He starts singing Love TKO, the Teddy Pendergrass song, and it's like, no.
Right.
No, dude.
Yes on your no.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Dude.
Oh.
I was like, then I literally was like scared. I was like, oh, this is really, really low. Then he's got a song like My Old School, which is the Steely Dan song. Great song. I love that song. Band sounds great.
Peculiar choice, but it works.
Yeah, but Dave's just sort of, he's hardly in it. I mean, the band's doing that song. Then, Jump comes in.
Maybe that's why it works.
Yeah, then Jump comes into play, and Roth's in his lane, and he sounds great. He does California Girls, and he sounds great, because he's in his lane. That's his song, you know what I mean? Then he does well here, and he's in California Girls, and he's like, I forgot the fucking word. It's just like, come on. Dude, you're going to do I Forgot the Words with California Girls? Everybody in the world can sing that song. So I don't know how this is going to work in his new Vegas show. Here, I have to say, the California Girls version here sounds great because you got these rich background vocals and all the big band. It has a lush sound to it. Edgar Winter also worked on that EP with him, so it really sounded good and flushed out. Now, I don't know how that's going to work with that raw rock band, but we'll have to see. And then the encore was Just a Gigolo, Ain't Got Nobody, which was a great ending because it's a big brassy song and it fits Dave like a glove. That should be his song. However, the one thing I was a little disappointed in is, all right, so in our show, Dave, he did a couple of different things. Like, I know he did Lido, the, is that?
I know who you're talking about, but I can't remember his name either.
But it was like, he did, like, Lido, and there was a couple of other songs he did. But, like, you know, I thought these are the songs Dave could have really used, okay? He could have done I'm Easy. He could have done Just Like Paradise. He could have done... you know what he did? He did Easy Street when we saw him. He definitely did that. He did Easy Street off the Crazy from the Heat album. That's another song he did. I thought he could do Could This Be Magic? He could do Big Bad Bill, Is Sweet William Now? He could have done Nightlife. He could have done Tell the Truth, Sensible Shoes, Going Crazy, Damn Good, Dance the Night Away, Beautiful Girls, Pretty Woman, Dancing in the Streets, Big Train, all these kinds of songs that are his from on solo album or Van Halen tunes or Van Halen covers. I don't know why he strayed so far away from the catalog he's known for. Like My Old Spoon.
I think that was on purpose. I think that was by design. Like I said, it was a review.
Yeah.
So when you review, you're reviewing songs that aren't necessarily in your catalog or your wheelhouse, which is why he's doing, for example, Lido by Boz Scaggs. That's who did it.
Right. Boz Scaggs. I always confuse him with that other guy. Yeah. Yeah, I don't understand why he wouldn't stay a little more in his lane, because when he did Ice Cream Man or That's Life or Just a Gigolo or California Girls, he was good. But
you think if the audience was coming to see him in particular, he would do that.
Yeah, and don't look, Duke Ellington, Teddy Pendergrass. No, you do not do that. You know, he could have gotten rid of, you know, Hard to Handle and Living in America and Love TKO and Nothing But the Blue, like and replaced them with some more David Lee Roth related material, and I think it would have worked better. So now the whole thing really made a crash when he was on Jay Leno, which is the Tonight Show in 1995. He arrives on stage flanked by two models in a white suit, and he's doing California Girls, and these girls are like posing in sun hats and glasses and shopping bags and high heels and coats, and they're stripping while he's talking. Dave's singing in that high Muppet range, and he's shucking and jiving all over. The girls are lying on the floor, putting on suntan lotion on each other, and they're rubbing their legs and kicking their heels and covering their butts with their hats. It was really kind of funny because Robin Williams was on as a guest that night, and Jay Leno and him. Leno says, that was the greatest thing I've ever seen in show business. That's pretty spectacular. Those are some talented women you got there, Dave. Dave goes, you're puffing up faster than a driver's side airbag. Which I thought was funny. Dave he's joking around. He's like, I was playing blackjack last night, and the waitress kept freshening my bong water. And then he was saying stuff like, talking about the rocks. He goes, I don't know if you noticed, but in the casinos, they're putting rock stars on the chips. He goes, the $20 chip is a Stevie Ray Vaughan chip, and the $50 chip is the Eric Clapton chip. He goes, the day after tomorrow, they're going to be putting me on the bagel chip. And then he says, I understand the new Van Halen chip only gets you in the men's room. I mean, this guy's got the balls to go on national television and break Van Halen's chops when he's in the position he's in. I just thought that was so ballsy. I couldn't. Right,
and then meanwhile, Jay Leno is like, well, it's nice to see that he said something to me like, well, it's nice to see you got over that.
Exactly. He goes,
but his jokes were bombing just as much on that show as they were in the actual Vegas shows.
Yeah.
I remember watching it the first time, and then I watched it again to review it for this podcast.
Right.
And it wasn't as bad as I remember.
Right, because when I first saw it, I was horrified.
Right. But that's like saying, well, I had liver and onions. It wasn't as bad as I remember, but it was still pretty bad. That's where I was.
Right.
And the frustrating part is, he's on with Robin Williams. And that should have been a night to remember. Because both these guys, they think quick on their feet, and they can be funny as hell,
right,
and all that stuff.
Right.
And like for one brief moment, they played off each other. but it was way too brief.
Right.
And then the rest of the time that Roth was on the show, well, the whole performance itself was kind of strange if you're used to seeing Dave in a certain way. And then he's sitting with Jay, and it's like he's trying the jokes and it's not working, and it's painful.
Yeah.
It's painful.
My favorite line was Dave was going on for 3 minutes and he was making no sense at all. And Jay Leno goes, I think it's time to change your bong water again. It's great. He really.
That's why Jay's the host.
Yeah, he zinged him. It was great. So that kind of wraps up that whole 1995 debacle. After that, you didn't hear from Dave for a year. And then I always say the darkest before the dawn. And the dawn was basically when he